Hey, how are you? I'm Alberto here from LH, the Major League Hacking Global Hack Week. Focus on data. We're going to learn about databases. This session is called Introduction to Databases. So I see a lot of people here, and I'm very excited. I hope you are as excited as I am. Um, Voice is echoing again. Okay, maybe this is from the past stream. So let me see if I can see where yeah, this is from the first from here. This is the first comment from this stream. So we have plenty of people, Arc in this case, excited about the databases thing. Hello to everyone. Hi, hi Arc. Hi Shardan. Hi Rahimstan. Potato Babe, Howdy, how are you? Xiao, Dark Rule. So, I hope you can see me well. I hope you can hear me well. I see the lights. It's not favoriting me, but if I turn it up, it's just like this zenithal light, so I didn't like it. Um, I hope you're fine, you're comfortable. We're going to start. First, let me share with you my presentation I got prepared. Uh, Here, somewhere. I got so many tabs open. Um, Give me a second. Yeah, sure. Share screen, allowed, and here we are. Okay, Data Unleashed, an introduction to databases. First of all, I want to know how many of you have heard of what a database is, um, what types of databases they are. Are you familiar with them? Have you used it before? I mean, like a user, you probably had used it before. Um, it's like, say, how often you use cloud. Well, it doesn't matter if you do programming or not. You probably either using it in the services you consume. So here we have previous example, previous knowledge of relational databases, SQL. Yeah, it's like SQL. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Um, RDMS, it's my favorite one. For example, if you have been in a hackathon hosted by the Major League Hacking, you probably have heard of Cockroach DB or Mongo. We are partners with a lot of um, management systems for databases. So it's good to know you all have some experience in it. For example, here, all of that and then some. That's cool. Let's start then. We're going to cover the different types of databases they are, relational, non-relational. We are going to tell what the databases management system are, and I'm going to share with you some conclusions. I didn't put it here, but we are going to do like a little and quick from zero to run my first database workshop. So you don't need anything special for that. I'm going to give you all the tools you need, um, but be prepared. So first, what are these databases? The essential part of modern technology, and as I said, are the databases. It's where we store data, basically. So we use these databases to store and organize big amounts of information. You can do it in an Excel file, for example, or in a folder system, as in your computers for Linux, Mac, Unix systems, etc. Um, but there is a problem with that. When you want to check for information inside of those example I mentioned, you have no quick way to do it, right? You have to. Sorry, I was reading some comments here. Does anyone know how long? Yeah, 2 hours approximately, maybe less, maybe. No, I can do more, but yeah, max 2 hours. Yeah. Okay. So in this problem, in this example I mentioned before, the Excel file or the file system in the computer you have, you can probably store a lot amount of data, but that doesn't make them databases, because you have a problem of consulting the information you have stored, right? So let's say you want to check for a file or for cell in the Excel file, um, to bring information about a movie or a name or an idea that you want, right? Well, it will be a problem trying to find it if you don't know like the full name, if you want to search or using the search tool, or yeah, trying to consume that information, it's the problem, right? So databases provide us a quick and easy way to do a crude in our information, like create new entries, read the entries we have, update them, and delete them if we want, right? Um, Quick parenthesis here, for example, if you think of blockchain, they usually say it's like no delete database, but it is not the idea, but I wanted to mention it that. But databases are these systems we use to store, again, read, create, or navigate or data with a quick way to do it. Yeah, so that's it. That's very simple. I mean, like the big things in technology, the big changing ideas are quite simple to explain. And once we learn them, once we make that intellect of our own, it's like, okay, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? Probably at the beginning, there were no way to do this. Like, how we store data. We use like the memory or the file systems or Excel files. You probably heard of enterprise or any company doing that, and it's a terrible, terrible practice. But it's not that weird to hear about it nowadays. But yeah, the properly way to do it is a database. So if you are in a startup or a company that it's not that tech related, and you heard your manager saying like, "Hey, here's our database," and he gives you like a USB-C with a lot of files and a lot of Excel, yeah, a lot of Excel files, a lot of folders, and all that terrible practice, you can say like, hey, why don't we implement a database, uh, and you will be their hero. Well, what's next? The different types of databases. We are going to mention two main differences, two main characters in the database, which are the relational and the non-relational databases. Inside of them, we have a lot of more um, divisions, and it's kind of tricky sometimes. But let's say that relational and non-relational databases. You can probably hear nowadays about graph databases. Um, I don't know if GraphQL is an example of that. I need to learn more about it. But yeah, you can hear information about graph-based databases. But let's just focus on these two ones: relational and non relational. Relational databases are, well, the name is pretty same explanatory, right? Like, there are relations between the data we want to show. These relational databases are a type of database that organize data into one or more tables. So in these databases, we have mainly tables. Um, to do an example, you can think it of again as an Excel file or the folder system in which the folder is the database at all, and each file it's a table because in the file we contain information we want to consult, right? So yeah, these relational databases have tables. Every table had a unique column that it's with a key. It's the key to identify the whole column, and we define. So, sorry, the full row. The ID defines the row, and we, as the architects, define the columns, and the columns are the information that the table contains. For example, the first is the ID. Then let's say we want to create a database for the NBA, right? So we need to store information about the players, the equipments, the stadiums. I don't know, like if we want to classify the balls, the games, etc. So each one of these are the tables, and in the table for players, for example, we want to store information, the column, as the name, as the full name, the middle name. We want to do it distinctly. I don't know, like um, some more data like the age, the height, the weight, etc. We define that it's according to our or what we need. So we have a question here, a quick question: Are all not relational database are all non-relational database NoSQL database? No. Well, it's kind of tricky again, but let me try to explain that. And that information is in my next slide. Um no, sorry, in this one, SQL. You heard here some people asking about SQL. We defined previously that relational database has tables. I jump in a slide, but this one defines the relations. Let me try to explain that quickly here to go to the SQL point. We know we have relations in the relational database. Those relations can be one to one. I mean, for example, one player can have I don't know, one name, right? Let's say we have a table for player IDs and a table for named IDs. So I know it's a terrible example, but I want to make it work. We have an ID corresponding to a player, right? And that's all. Or let's say for a reason these players have are allowed just to have one pair of shoes. So we have a table containing all the shoes, and each one corresponds to one player. So we have like these links, these relations to show us which shoe correspond to which player. But in a more real scenario, each player could have a lot of different pair of shoes, right? So that relation will be one to many, right? So these player has a lot of feather shoes, so we need to find the connections between them. That's a good example, but again, in a more real and real scenario, one player can only play in one team, but a team can have multiple players. So we have a database, a table, sorry, for the teams, and we have a table for the players. All of them are in the NBA database, right? But we have a relation one team to many players, because many of these players are going to belong to just one team, which is going to be a row. The information in the table for the teams or the players are in columns. So that's how it's pictured. Then we have many to many relations. For example, let's say mm, stadiums. In some cases, I don't know in the NBA, but here in Mexico, talking about the soccer football teams, there are times a stadium belong to many teams. That's weird, I know, but yeah. For example, in the Estadio Azteca, the Estadio Azteca is the home place for El Cruz Azul and Las Águilas del América. No, so in this case, these two teams are playing in the stadium, but we have, for example, uh, matches, a table for matches. So we have, let's say again, NBA, Spurs versus Celtics, and that belongs to one stadium. Then in the same stadium are going to play Bucks versus Warriors. So we have many to many relations. Uh, that's it. That's the relations. That's how a relational database works. Incredible, right? Very simple and very efficient to make queries. But how we make them? That's the real question. We define as intelligent people a program, a language, let's say that, to do that. It's a query language called SQL. SQL is the essential form in which we do queries in in relational databases. Every database, for example, relational, talking about um, SQLite, PostgreSQL. I think MariaDB. I don't remember well, but all the examples you can think of relational databases use SQL. They kind of have their own flavor. For example, there are specific things of SQL you can do in Postgres, and you cannot do in other databases, in database management systems. But the base, the core, it's SQL. So, for example, if you want to learn SQL, I will recommend the tool we are going to use at the end of this workshop, which is SQLite, because it gives you like the entry level things you need to pass easily between all the relational databases you need or you um, will want to use. So, returning to this question, are non relational databases NoSQL databases? I will say not necessarily. It is not a rule. I mean, a non relational database can use SQL. I don't know someone that does. I haven't heard of it, but I don't see why it's not possible. Yeah, but relational databases needs to use SQL. That's it. I know it's kind of hard to imagine that, but relational use SQL, not relational do not need to use SQL. That's it. So let's go to non-relational databases. If we know how relational databases works, we know the SQL language we use to make queries in them, you probably would be wondering why others? Why something else? Well, there are scenarios in which you want more flexibility, in which you need to do some things that Relational database, it's not allowing you because you need to define a lot of things and you need to be very um, careful with your architecture, how these relations are made, which table connects with what type of relation, with what other table, one to one, one to multiple, multiple to multiple, etc. There are sometimes you just want to say like, hey, I want to create like document containing this information because I don't know, my business requirements are this in this moment, but they can evolve in time. They can modify itself. They can not be the same in a very short amount of period um, of time. Sorry, and in this case, you can use a non-relational database because these non-relational databases, not known as NoSQL. Um, Again, I don't see why not they can use SQL, but it's that's the thing. It's not a rule. Differ from the databases in the structure. While relational databases use tables with predefined columns and the relations between them, not relational databases use a variety of data models such as key pair, for example, just any JSON file, documents or graphs, etc. Um, you remember we talked about the graph systems. Some of them put them together in the non-relational database. Some of them say it's like they are their own kind. It's a discussion in the theme, right? As a beginner, what's the difference between relational and non-relational databases? Again, relational are very strict. They have to be pretty well defined. They use a standard language called SQL, and non relational databases do not use that predefined structure. They are more flexible. You can use non-relational databases. There are a lot of variety between them. You can use, for example, MongoDB, which has a document-based system. You can use Firebase, Firestore. You can use a lot of examples of non-relational databases. Those ones the one I use the most, so I got it fresh. But yeah, it depends on what are your necessities. For example, again, I work in a startup, so we as a startup are growing and evolving all the time. In our case, it doesn't make that much of sense to use a relational database because it will be a lot of work trying to maintain the structure to put all relations together. There are times in which we want to add to delete to modifying our whole architecture. So a non-relational database help us to do that more quickly. Mm, Again, it's not that one is better than other. It's up to your necessities as a professional that will you decide which one better fits what you're trying to do. So if you got any questions this far, that is like the whole and the base idea between this. Please let me know here on the comments. I will pass to my next slide, which is database management system. These DBMS softwares are applications that enables you to manage, organize, and analyze the data stored in your databases. They provide interface to you to interact with these databases, allowing you to do all the things you need to do in a more accessible and easy way. The other way is to use like the terminal, which is the one we are going to use. And again, I'm going to give you some examples of these database management systems that you can use. Um, it depends of the database you're using. For example, if you're using Mongo, you probably want to use Mongo Atlas or Mongo. What's the other one? Um, yeah, Mongo Atlas helps you to do things very quickly. Mongo Compass. If you are using Firebase, you probably are going to use um, the console for Google. If you're using here, we're going to use SQLite, so we have SQLite Studio. But we also can find dbeaver. Dbeaver it's MD. DBMS, sorry, to help us. I hope you're seeing. Yeah, to help us do this interface-based interaction with the database. So that's a good example of databases management systems. In conclusion, databases plays crucial. Sorry, I should mute him. Yeah, my bad. Sorry about that. In conclusion, databases plays a crucial role in the modern technology, provide us a way to structure and store big amount of data. This comes in variable types, including relational, no relational, and each one has strengths and weakness depending of the specific use case. Um, Again, there is no one better than other if you do not put context on it, right? Um, to effectively manage the database, we often use the database management system to provide us the tools we want. As a beginner, it's more frequently for managing them. These database management systems help us ensure the data is secure, it's in a integrity, make them and it makes them an essential component in our um, workflow as data data people, right? Um, it's pretty common right now that you probably are studying like data science or some things very popular with those terms. But databases are like the basic in yeah in IT careers in IT career softwares. So this was a very quick theoretical introduction to databases, and now I want to do a more practical one. Um, Very big spoiler. Well, no, it's not a spoiler. Sorry. Announcement. Let's just say it's my time to do announcements. I'm going to run practical databases on next Thursday. So I invite you to join me. We are going to use Firebase Store to connect with our application, and that will be more practical, right? In this case, we are going to use a relational database. I told you about it, SQLite. SQLite, it's very good. Let me change the screen. SQLite, I'm going to share with you now the link. It's very good because, oh, sorry, change that. It's very good because it doesn't need to be deployed. It does not has a very complicated installation. You just need to download the file, execute it, and that's everything. So here's the link. Oh, I see Juanpa is here. Hi, the data of the campus experts. Nice to hear you to see you around. So here's the link. sqlite.org/download. Go there and install SQLite. It's very simple. You just have to download the file, unzip it, and that's everything. Then I'm going to do it with you. In my case, this is a Mac, so I need to download the precompiled binaries for macOS. Uh, as you see, I downloaded before, so I'm not going to download it again. Let me. I'm going to pause the screen just to change it for the full window. Oh, my bad. Hmm. Just let me ensure I'm not going to share anything I want. Right, present, share screen, and the whole window. Okay, I think I have it now. You're supposed to see my full. Oh, just a second. I need to change something else. Any questions this far? I want to take advantage of these death times. Uh, Between I prepare things I want to show you, to give you some time to write some comments. Okay, here. I got it downloaded. It's called SQL Tools. I unzip it. Here they are. In this folder, there is everything we need, SQL tree, etc. And put it in wherever you want in your folder, in yeah, in every part of your computer. Then, what else we're going to do? For use it, we have two main ways, as we were saying. We can use it via the terminal. Open your preferred terminal. Mine is Hyper. Here in Hyper, we go to where we store our file we download before. Um, in my case, is in developer, in test, in data X, and here we are, the SQLite tools OS, blah 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 blah. So let's move to that file folder, and here you can type SQLite 3, SQLite 3, and this will. Let me ensure a second. Mm, no, yeah. I just wanted to check if I have an alias for that. That's good. Oh well, you can see my aliases. If you are wondering why you just type L and not LS, or why you just type CD and not default, but well, here's why. I have a lot of aliases, and I'm checking. Um, yeah, I don't have an alias for that. So it's okay. We're safe to type SQLite 3, and we hit. You should see this, your SQL version. In my case is 3.39.5. The date, the time, enter .help for use this, and we need to open a database. Well, this is the way to do it in the terminal, but I'm going to show you a quick way, which is SQLite Studio. I do not like these MDBS, not for anything, but I think they take space of my computer, which I don't like. But for you that are beginners, I recommend you to use SQLite Studio, and more if you are not fluent in the terminal. So That's not bad. That doesn't limit you, so you can here download SQL Studio. Let me share the link with you. Here it is, SQL Studio. I am very new with SQLite. That's okay. That's very fine. Uh, my intention here is to you to use SQLite for the first time. So if you're not able to do it, I'm failing to you. Um, your webcam it's blocking your comments. My webcam. My comments on the terminal. You cannot see what I'm typing on the terminal. That's the thing. How to run this file. Which file? Could you be more specific, please? For the SQL, you just click on download. I think it's an X for executable for Windows, DMG for Mac, so very simple. It doesn't matter. If you're meaning the file we download for SQL, you just need to type SQL3. Oh, the studio file. Yeah, it's a DMG for Mac and for Windows. I think it's an XX. So everything's fine. Yeah, normal installation. Yes, your webcam was blocking the terminal comments because. Oh, I understand. Yeah, sorry, my bad. I got you now. Let me here, here. Now you can see it. SQLite 3. That's how we enter to our SQLite database. But we need to to use a database, right? We need to have a database. Very quick. If you don't like SQL Studio, that's very fine. There's another option which is dbeaver. Dbeaver is um, I always forget the name, DBMS database management system that helps you with a lot of databases. You can use, for example, the popular SQL like MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, SQLite, Apache, and more. So dbeaver it's an open source and it has a very good community. I give you this, and if you want, feel free to use it. It's a .tron file for Linux. Okay, so you're a Linux user. You should probably know more of that than me, but I'm not sure how to install on Linux the studio file. Yeah, I'm not sure how to install. Uh, it should be a normal installation for Linux, but if you are having trouble, um, use dbeaver. I think they have a special section for that dbeaver. Let me check. Download. Yeah, for Linux. Yeah, the Weaver has an installer for an Debian installer and RPM installer. You can use sudo snap install dbeaver C or with flatpak install flathub.io dbeaver community. I think this one's more easy, so try it with dbeaver. Yeah, no problem. So once you already install your MD sorry, database management system, or if you want to do it via the terminal, we need a database. We need information to work with, right? How we get that information, where we get it, I will I will recommend you a place. Um, Here's my I was playing with this, so that's where I came with the NBA database. But let me open a new tab for you. Kaggle, it's the place where you can enter competitions, train with a lot of data sets, check for models from other people. You can code, you can discuss. They have even a learn section, which I think it's amazing. Kaggle is a very good tool. So I'm going to share it with you here the Kaggle link. So go to Kaggle and search for the NBA database. The NBA database, well, I'm going to first show you here. You go to databases, you type here NBA database. Is this one, not this one here, because we need the SQLite file. And you can filter for SQLite and apply that. And if you want to play more once this session is over, there are over 200 datasets here for SQLite, um, US wildfires, pitchfork reviews, US airline sentiment from Twitter, the NBA, San Francisco salaries, wow, Nigeria elections 2023, top four candidate tweets, US baby names, customer SQLite, the IMB, the project, mental health in the tech industry. Well, a lot of very amazing databases, very educative ones. For example, the US 2016 elections. Let's jump to the seventh page. For example, Tech, you need data. Uh, some of them are not too interesting, but yeah, Kaggle is the place to find a lot of databases to experiment, to play with, to create models, to try to yeah to create visualizations. I don't know. Data is how to move in data. It's the beginning. What you do with data is the next thing. And we have a lot of amazing sources here at the Global Hack Week. Data. There are like machine learning tracks running this week. So be prepared. If you don't know how to use your database, you probably are not going to be fluent using a machine learning model or consulting or using the data laptop. This is the first step. Take it, take it as a personal advice. Learn these basics. So, the NBA database is the one we want to use. We download here. I already downloaded, so I don't need to. But go here, download it, and meanwhile it's downloading, we can see what it contains. Welcome to the NBA database. This database is updated daily and includes over 30 teams, over 48,000 players, uh, 4,800 players, sorry. A lot of games, a lot of scores, play by play, blah, 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 blah. What we really want to see, let me update here. It's how this database is structured. Remember, SQL, SQLite, it's a relational database. So we will have tables in our database. Here, our Data Explorer tell us the SQL file have these tables, and we can pick here, for example, player table, give us the ID. I told you the ID is always going to be the first row, the full name, the first name, the last name, and if it's active. This is a binary table, zero for not active, I think, or one for active. Let's see. Uh, hmm, hmm. It doesn't say. Is Aleph? I will think that zero is for not active and one is for active, but I'm not so sure. But here, for example, we have the common player info and the players and the team and the team details and the game info, etc. And we need to check how these tables are related, which ones are relations one to one, one to multiple, multiple to multiple, etc. We have more information here about the collaborators, the authors, the coverage, the license, very important, and the how frequently it's updated, and which are the contributors for that. Here we can find related notebooks. For example, we can see here. Let's open it. How people are using this. For example, in Python, uh, they use IPython SQL package and import SQLite. um, and they let's see what are they looking for. They're looking for games. Oh yeah, sorry for this. You're probably seeing this and wondering what's that. We talk about SQL, but if it's your first time, you haven't seen a SQLite query. This is how SQLite is built. Select from where we are going to look, uh, what columns are looking for. For example, here I can change this to the season, the theme. I just want to know the theme name, home, etc. The game ID. I don't know all the columns I want to check, and from which table I want to check it, and then we can add like validations, like let's say like filter the information. Here we are getting all the columns from the game table, but we can add another parameter called where, in which we can say like where the team abbreviation starts with H. So I just get the the rows in which the team abbreviation it starts with H. In this example, I'll just get this one. But let's do it in the real terms. First, I want to check here on the comments if every one of you have installed your MDBS, and if you had any trouble with it or downloading the MDA database. Terminal is king. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, Terminal 1 is better. Is there any attendance sheet? You have to check in the link. Let me share it with you. No problem. Just give me a second. Here it is. Oh no, I'm sorry. I shared one that it's not. I don't know why. Okay, here's the link. Organize participants events. Global Hair Week into the database. Um, don't forget to check in there. Uh-huh. Like attendance of session. Yeah, it's the same. So I'm guessing all of you have installed your SQLite Studio or the Beaver, or you're going to use the terminal. So let's go there. I downloaded here the file, and I know it's on open. Uh, File it's archive and va.sql lite, and how I check dot table, and I have all the tables we see here. Oh no, not here. Here, the common player info, the draft combined stats, drive history, games, etc. All it's here. So let's do queries. Let's look for information here. Let's check. Um, if you're in an interface, you probably are more familiar to this. You will have the option just to click and see, like here in Kaggle. Um, Actually, if you don't want to use it and you don't want to install anything, and you're just here to try to learn the more you can come here to Kaggle and see. But you will miss the fun of making queries. Let's say I want to look for the names, the players with this name, Alex. So I have a query for that, which is select everything from common player. It's with us, no, info, where we're not, well, let's run this, and we have all the information, all cells, all rows in our table, and that's a lot of information. But let's say I just want where name, how I said, just let me, oh, I'm not, let me look for it quick. I forgot the query. Um, yeah, I get it. I remember it now. I haven't, I had that here. Like, where name, like, and this is how rabbit, how we find for coincidences, and I want to limit that to the first five. Hmm. Let's see what I did wrong. Yeah, sorry. um, if we see here, name, it's know how the column its name, right? It is first name or last name. So we have to have that in mind. Let's run with first name, and we have one, two, three, four. Oh, this is not formatted, so another advantage of doing it in the interface way. The terminal it's not UI familiar, but we have the first five. Let's just look for the first one. The first one you search is Allah, and here we have all the information. We probably don't want all the information. We just want the ID. Um, why not the school? Let's say the slug and the school. So let's change our query. Select school and player how it was called slug. And we have here, for example, Duke. Oh, uh, let me change position. And I just want the Alex names. Alex O'Brien's plays in FC Barcelona. I know it's from FC Barcelona. But let's say now we only want players from UCA, from Baylor. Let's see how many players are from Baylor. We want the first name. What else we want? Last name. And we want where school, like Baylor. Just Queen AC. Wow. From Duke. Let's search. Oh no, I limit just to one. Let me quit the limit. From Duke. And we have all these players from Duke. Grayson Allen, R.G. Barrett, Elton Brand, Chris Doe, etc., etc., etc. And with this powerful tool, we make a query from a big database, and we have information in just a couple of seconds. That's very powerful. And what are the next steps then? How you can improve as a data engineer or as a person working in data. Now you know what databases are. Now you know what they are important. Uh, you run just now your first queries in you, and you install your first very light database. That's why it called SQL Lite. You need to learn SQL. This is the next step. This is not a session focused on that. Um, I'm not going to teach you how to do SQL, but there are a lot of resources to do that. Let's share with you some of them. I have prepared here. Give me a second. Some links, and while I look for them, you can go here and type your comments. This far, what do you think? Did you like this introduction to databases? Do you have any questions? This is the moment to try to resolve that. I mean, I know databases are not that easily. I know they are like hmm, hard to get in, but once you're here, you feel powerful and you have the ability to get the information you want, basically. Huh. Well, I see some comments here, but I'll look for the resources I wanted to share. There are two mainly. The first one, it's called learnsql.com. They have a blog of how to use the page, and it's cool. It's very cool. And the second one, you probably heard of it. It's from Web3 Schools, and it's the section of SQL. Here it is. We have a question here, Satan Neuer. How hard it's to adapt when you move companies and experience different ones? Well, for example, if you're familiar with relational database and you move to a non-relational database, I will say that will be the hard. No, no, no. That will be not the hardest. I will say the hardest will be when you are in a non-relational database and you move to a relational database, because suddenly you have all these rules and you have all these things, and yeah, you can probably not have developed that structure line of thought. But I would say it's not that hard. It's a learning curve, yeah, but it's possible. And yes, once you're in a relational database and you move to a non-relational database, you may be thinking of, okay, this is weird. That's the first sensation you get, like, why is this and why it's not like the good old SQL. But it's not that hard. Again, between the relational database, it's the same language. You see, you can use SQL, you can use Postgres, you can use Maria, you can use all those relational database, and you will be doing the same SQL. I mentioned you. Some of them has their own flavor. Some of them has unique things you can do in it and in not in the other ones, but it's quite simple. It's the same. Yeah, the basics are the same. So I would say it's not that hard. um, from a non-relational database to another non-relational database, I would say you just have to get used to how to make queries in that new non-relational database. There are different ways depending on which one you're working. This is again, in my experience, I have worked with Firebase and with MongoDB, and they are not hard. They are like there are some things to learn once you start, but once you're on it, you master it, and everything's fine. So yeah, that I would say, mm, in general, moving from different databases, it's not complicated. What it could be complicated, it's to learn databases for the first time. No matter which database you're learning, the first time is always the hardest. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, I'm glad to help. So, what else? I share with you these tutorials, these links. Um, I wanted to mention. I really like the presentation I used. I mean, like the slides. I created them in tone, so every picture you saw was generated with artificial intelligence, and even some of the text were was generated with artificial intelligence. Um, it was really cool. I love the images, I love the text, and I just needed to make some adaptations. Um, Here, uh, okay, an update to the NBA players. So tell me, I want you to run some queries. How many of you are following this? I, I mean, like, how many of you download the NBA database and are trying to run queries right now? Let me know here in the comments. And if you don't, if you do not download the database, um, you're just following the stream, tell me why. Did you not feel you're ready? Do you didn't understand how to do it? I want you to feel free to ask, and I want to help you to run these queries. I'm going to give you a little bit of time. I'm going to take a break, and when I come back, I hope to see some comments here about the, the well, even of how to do it or how your queries went. Hey, I'm back. I'm went to take some water. And I see no comments. That disappoint me a little, but that's fine. Um, that was a really quick introduction again to databases in theoretical terms, in a practical terms to relational database, and we still have time to do it for a non-relational database. So let me share my screen, and okay, here first, you not see it, right? That yep, hello. Here, let's look for MongoDB, and we have two tools: Mongo Compass and Mongo Atlas. Actually, this is an announcement, but it's really a good tool. Let's open Mongo Atlas. Mongo Atlas, it's a way to manage this database. It's our DBMS for Mongo. Um, I won't give you like the sales speech here, but let's try Mongo. First, we want to register. I'm not going to share this data, so uh, it's your turn. You do it in your own, and I do it in mine. Let me share first the link with you. Here, Mongo Atlas. Go create your account. I'm going to create mine. Well, not create, use mine account, and let's explore what we have with it. Again, this is not the only way to use Mongo. We were talking about how I prefer to use the terminal, how it's up to you. Um, but if I showed you already how to use the terminal to do queries in a SQL relational database, why not show you how to use management system for a non-relational database. Exactly the opposite thing, right? Uh, Account ready, so I can show you here. We have okay. I was I was playing with that. I remember. So we need to create a database. We have more options: a data lake, device data APIs, trigger, etc. More advanced things. First, we need to focus on create a database. This is Atlas. This is interactive way to use this. Again, another way to do it is via the terminal, and there is an intermediate thing called Compass. It's up to you. In this case, let's build a database. For example, we can use an M10, a serverless, um, complicated things. Let's just do an M0, which is completely free, give us space to play, and no configuration and no additional configuration is needed. So we created. Okay, we complete this. We need to create a username and a password or a certificate. Let's do it with the username. Let's say Alberto admin. A password. We can create a password here, but now I just want Alberto Rostres, and we create the user. We have the admin, and here we can delete any one of them, and we can do it with a local environment or the cloud environment. Right now, We just need a local environment. If we want to give IP access, we can do it here. Right now, I'm just going to make the default 0000/0. We finish and create it. And then we can go to our database. We have it here. We can connect with it via Compass, for example, via the shell, via VS Code, Atlas SQL. And as you see, we mentioned not it's not a rule for a non-relational database to do not use SQL. There are ways in which you can use SQL, in this case here, for example, and this makes easier the transition when you comes from a non-relational database. Sorry, for a relational database. So let's say you're a SQLite user, and then you want to try Mongo. Atlas gives you this opportunity to run queries using SQL, but in Mongo. Um, that's the thing. Or any drivers. We can do it with Node.js code, Go application code, etc. But we can also do it from here. So let's open this cluster. And here, how MongoDB works. It's document system in which we create documents, uh, collections, load add my own database, collection name. No, how we do it here. Overview, CMD, connect. No. Oh, I don't know if they changed the interface. Professional, search, collections. I remember it was here. Okay, let's why not open the docs and search. After loading your data or sample data, okay, let's just download the sample data. Load sample data. Yeah, why not? Go to test, and it gives you the opportunity just to explore. And you can see how a real project will look like. Also, we can go to, again, Kaggle and download a Mongo model datasets. We filter, hi, and we look for, we can use CSV or a JSON. But why to complicate ourselves? We are downloading now the sample data from Mongo Atlas, right? So this is taking its time. Even submitting the challenge of NetFoes. That's very cool. Thanks. Um, Thanks for the guidance, man. Yeah, don't worry. Ah, our data is ready. So here we have these. These ones are not called tables, like in yeah, like in the sorry, relational databases. Here, I think the term is documents, and here we have, for example, the document containing this uh, 20 results of which sample data. Oh, from Airbnbs. Yeah, I was trying to read which samples are these, but let's then look for something. Here it has some placeholder telling us that we can look for a field and a value, like if we were looking in JSON. So open, and we look for the name. Um, that's this one. Let's copy and paste it. And we apply the search. Obviously, we only have one, that its name is this one. But let's say we want to make more complicated searches, so we can sort, we can make projections, and we can change these filters. So here we can learn more about how this works on the atlas. So even if you're new or not familiar, we can we can learn in the Mongo Atlas documentation. Let's look, for example, for clear how does the components examples matches, no, exclusions, no, yeah, matches. Comparisons. We have operations just like in SQL. We can look for dates. We can even look for an array of values. So this is how you do it on a non-relational database. We have even examples for restaurants with one, well, not only restaurants but neighborhoods, and some of them are correlated. Some restaurants are in some neighborhoods. So even if that's not the main idea on a non-relational database, you can even make relations between them. Let's open this document and see. For example, we should have grades, no, address, coordinate address, mm, building, cuisine, bro. And I double click here, and I didn't want it, but now we can see I can modify this. So I don't know, let's say it is on Polanco here in Mexico, and I apply these changes. So now this restaurant, it's not in Brooklyn, or was not in Brooklyn. Now it is on Polanco here in Mexico, or any other place, and you can modify here. Um, so that's very simple. It is an interface way to go and search for data. Again, if you want, come here to Kaggle, download a new data set, or download the MBA one. The MBA dataset has the as comma separated value files, and you can import it here to Mongo, and you can try to make the same queries you're doing in SQL, but in this case in MongoDB. So that will be it. Thanks a lot for joining me. And I really hope you enjoyed this session as much as I. I really hope you learned some things about databases. Well, not just some things, the basics of databases. Please join me tomorrow, no, the next day after that, for practical introduction to Firebase, which is another non-relational database, just as Mongo, but mm, it well integrated with the Google Cloud environment. So if you haven't heard of Firebase, I recommend you to go and check. They have a lot of serverless services, hosting, what are these notifications, authorization, login, etc. Well, they have a lot of services, but in this case, we are going to explore the databases, the Firestore, I think it's called, database. So join me. Thanks for coming and see you later. Stay tuned to our next streams here at Global Hack Week. Bye.